Post-apocalyptic games are a part and have always been a part of the mainstream media, but what if, somehow, you were to make that a reality with a small, semi-small, post-apocalyptic game? Well, you get ATF 8 Wintertide. Obviously, this is an exaggeration of the state of Wintertide, but something stays true, and it's the lack of seemingly good role players. What do I mean by this? I mean people who don't have poorly disguised fetishes and furry OCs as eldritches, droids, and other weird or wacky things. That, or of course, the power playing members of society who seem to have the most advanced and asphalt equipment known to man. But what's the cause of this? Well, the anarchy that has been seemingly implementing it again into ATF, only not as a public event like it was done a year ago. More as of a common rule to be used as something as a gateway to make moderators have less work related to failure play. If that's not the intent of the rule, then I don't know what is, genuinely. I get trying to implement the unwashed messes into the game, but when I'm walking around Sunrise, I expect to see like a homeless man like from Megaton in Fallout 3, beg for a bottle of water so I could get that positive karma or something. Like, I don't mean one of those weird furry test subjects. That's a big hope for them trying to fit into the story. But, it's gotten to a point where I feel like I should get more into private roleplay, as this completely breaks my immersion from the game. I don't feel like I'm playing a post-apocalyptic game anymore. Multiple people I know, and or have seen in Flashstorm even, also agree that this is a big problem with the game. Rule 2 and 3 are completely breaking it. I myself think that the RP hosts are in Flashstorm are a big scapegoats from the hell that are the public servers. Like, I don't mean to say that Rule 2 and 3 are a problem. As a matter of fact, I do think it can be used for good roleplay, like, I've had encounters where a military droid seemingly is willing to save me, only to then turn on me and an eldritch that I had an encounter with, due to the rest storm messing with their internal systems. Like, I love stuff like that. But if you're gonna use it for something goofy or wacky, at least just give it an explanation, man. Like, this doesn't apply only to gear, I mean everything, even in height. I get some of you guys are in the spectrum of like 5'7" or something, but you say you're around 6 feet just because you have a height complex. And all of that, but you don't need to have that reflected in your character. Much like you don't need self inserts. I think that for height, it should be based around the character's traits. If they were once people of power, like some kind of, I don't know, tribal warlord or leader or governor or something, they should have a tall, imposing stature to others. Another thing I'd like to add in is the idea of flawed characters and playing to lose. Of course, nobody gets the point of it since they're free to get whatever they want, but the best example I can give is my own character, which is currently going to a survival roleplay and has a story himself. He doesn't have much skills due to his past as a normal working citizen of the NEU, and he's not desensitized to violence because in the mainland there was pretty much nothing of violence. He was under the guard of the NEU and the USRF. He never knew what it was pretty much until he came in here, and eventually had to kill outwitchers and so on. And like, flaws can make characters perfect. They can make interactions perfect as well, especially during public roleplay. And people just don't get it. They just want to, I don't know, get a 50 cal in a stealth suit and stab proof armor and so on and so on. That gives them plus how many strength they want. This is a big flaw. It's the reason why people hate Rule 2 and 3 just doesn't make the game feel good anymore. And funnily enough, despite how flawed the acceptance system was back in Mirage, it was perfect because you'd avoid these guys that are just have the most impossible equipment for no reason, without any explanation and anything. It's like funny how one of the worst systems and one of the most hated systems is also better than the one currently implemented. It goes to show that ADF has fallen into a pit of mediocrity where people come up with a trend and everyone else just follows after. Do you remember when people had the lean swords and lightsabers in ATF for 8, for example? In early ATF 8? That was like a big trend, but why did it stop? Because the moderators started cracking down on them. And despite it being two rules that state that creativity is key and that you don't need to strictly interact with these people, like, are you not gonna moderate them anyways? Like, what if they're breaking other rules? Do you just not care? For example, overgearing, having way too OP stuff. Like, is that just out of the question anymore? Is that and this really shouldn't be brushed off as something minor. It's actively dividing the community. At the end of the day, it's really up to Chad to do what he wants with the game, lore-wise and rule-wise. But I must say that I'm really, really finding it hard to play the game, especially when I'm constantly playing as these like characters who are play to lose against these unimaginable beings of God who have no flaws. This video is a love letter in the form of a short form critique of ATF, but I love the game series, don't get me wrong, and I get that it does feel like I'm molding, seeding, coping, etc., whatever, and all of that, but it is true, and it's undeniable that these rules are a benefit or a hazard. They have their cons and they have their pros. One of the biggest pros being the capability of making good roleplay experiences, but nobody is using those, at least not many people, and that's just awful because it ruins the game.